Hello, thanks for joining me. My name is Darren Stevenson. You can find me on Facebook as the Darren Stevenson in San Francisco. Today is Wednesday, December 25th, 2013. And I'd like to talk about a couple of ideas that are very important to our social existence, our political existence, our intelligence, how we relate with one another, and how we form groups, or what we think of as groups. Now, if you look at the media on Facebook, you're going to find as many branches as you can want to distinguish, and you're going to find memberships in each of those branches. And lately there's been this interesting trend where people they like to publicly announce the unfriending, quote unquote, of members of their electronic social groups that either hold some specific opinion or don't. In other words, if you think this, unfriend me now. I just unfriended all my such and such friends because they think that. This is part of a dangerous trend where we, because our culture is so horribly broken and vicious to us that the primary goal of it is to keep us separated in any way possible. In fact, in newer ways each moment, separated from each other, separated from true purposive intelligence. That means intelligence organized around why we do things, not what we do yet, or even how we do them, but just why. Right? And if you can mess this why up just a little bit, you can control the entire population, like slaves or prison, workers. So one of the things you see on media is people getting rid of each other due to ideas. This is interesting and makes sense because once you don't have tightly knit social groups, which I'm going to call a pod, like a dolphin pod, or say a pod of gorillas, a troop of gorillas, or what else? I think we call whale pods. You can call them a cell group. It actually looks something like a hand, right? There's usually sort of a central member or a leader member or few beings, and then you've got some working members who are team members, yeah. And then there's the group, the idea of the group. This is how they live together, and then this would be their connection to similar structures like a body, yeah, with other pod groups that are very similar and yet distinct, yeah. And these pods flow through time like dolphins flow through water, right? Together, right? And because they're together like this, as they flow through time, their members changing positions and leadership roles and learning together as a single animal, as one animal. This animal comes to know itself as a group, and through that, each of the members get very amazing roles and opportunities. This is why we love to play roles, because we don't get any. We're not allowed to have any. Our only real roles are slave roles, actually. So because we've all been broken away from pods into none of this, right? This goes away and you just have the separate fingers. So you got leaders who fight and compete for dominance. And then you got a bunch of working members who don't really have any power. Because unconnected from this and this, these people aren't even people. They just start fighting and complaining. And what they do, instead of being able to sort of start to reveal how they're actually just one animal and flow together through thought and through ideas and through time, is they just start to fight each other, right? Which makes anyone who's outside that, the Machiavellian dominant people, yeah, that gives them total power to just make these people do and think whatever they want. And then these people start getting these people to blame each other, right? This is your fault. No, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. Your fault. Your fault. And so that means that once that happens, okay, that which connects them, the body with which they'll flow together as one animal and learn and grow for each other. It's not liberal, not religious. It's completely non-ideological. It's absolutely inclusive. There's no distinctions of who it's not for. Each other. That's the idea behind liberty. That's the idea behind rights. That's the basic root of human intelligence, and when you pull it away, you don't get any. If you have to fake it with laws or ideologies, excuse me, or subcultures, rebellious, fashionable, intellectual, poetic, artistic, creative, or otherwise, you're dead. You've had it. You're done. Here's why. The more that you start to argue about which way is the right way, the more you're arguing about which hand would you like to have, which finger would you like to have left on your hand. Okay? So if you think you can get along without the bad guys, for example, or they should all be in prison, no, they're in your government. So that's a problem. You need some bad guys. If you think you can get along without the conservatives, right, you're out of your mind. And if you think you need to change them all, you're wrong. You need to educate them. Same with the bad guys. Right? The bad guys will turn to Robin Hoods if you educate them. The conservatives have a great role if you educate them. The liberals are amazing heroes if you educate them. The moderates, everybody. That's why we have diversity, because you need the whole darn thing. And the most important thing is, once you get these people fighting, okay, just get these people fighting, here's what happens. It's like Jaws, really, right? The palm, what brings them together and gives them intelligence so that they can really learn and grow and accomplish things, it disappears. Gone. This palm is actually connected to every group on Earth, every group of animals, every ecosystem, every group of people who ever lived and died. This palm contains our heroes, the memories of our heroes. Without this, we start to lose those and think that we're the cause. And as it gets like this, right, which is how it is sort of in our culture right now, these people are all fighting so hard that all of their work is spent on war and complaining and useless stuff that can't become intelligent, can't accomplish anything, and just makes these people happier, because it just gives them more and more power to push us down with our own effort, that we're making the effort with which they're pushing us down and paying them to do that, which is essentially turning nations into prisons. Right? Of course they want to surveil you. I'll tell you a little secret. In a pod group, we're all constantly surveilling each other because we live in such close proximity, we know everything about each other. And what that means is that we get purposive intelligence. We know why we are doing things. And why is it? We're doing it for mutual excellence, growth, education, development, fulfillment, expression, joy, creativity. Watch a dolphin pod. They're serious when they need to be serious. They're the most intelligent, playful animal, as a single animal, you've ever seen. They'll do incredibly astonishing things as a group. But if you break them apart, that intelligence starts to plummet, just like ours. And we get sick. Here's why. In a pod group, you learn what your identity is by how you interact with the others. If there's no each other, you don't get intelligence at all. You get competitive, predatory confusion, schizophrenia, psychosis. You get individuals broken out from pod groups where they have to attack anything that even looks like a pod, because they're so broken out they cannot derive their own identity from the group. And by the way, we don't have identities. They're not you and me. I am me only in the history and ring of all those people with whom I am understood and who I understand. My heroes, the villains, my enemies, my family members that I can't stand and the ones that I love, the people in public who I disagree with and those that I totally agree with, the ones I want to teach me and the ones I want to teach. Right? So we can't be ourselves without these pods, and if you break them apart, we can't know ourselves. We start competing as warriors, we're all confused, our families don't work, we have no social agreement. It goes like this, and we have the hand is the most intelligent. This is actually why our species is intelligent, because we have this. And notice that you wouldn't want each finger the same, and that the ways that they can change and do all kinds of things together are actually what give us the technology to chase intelligence, which we've been failing to do, by the way, because you can only do it like this. And we've been doing it like that, with Machiavelli's out here, like Facebook, Google, right? The didacts of the authorities, right? We can't do that anymore. The authorities have to be totally connected and one being, and letting us lead a little bit, and then they lead, and then we lead, and then they lead, right? So that we're sort of leapfrogging through time like dolphins swimming forward through the water, not of the ocean, but of intelligence, connectivity, learning, growth, and fulfillment. Without that, we can't be human, and we need our ecosystems for that because they actually lifted us up and gave us our identity. So if we start attacking them, we just turn into this. And in the larger context, the more we become this, the dumber, more combative, more paranoid, and more well-armed we become. We can't afford to keep building weapons. Pod members don't do that. The reason is they're going to stay in constant intimacy. And what that means is that conflict and combat only occur to better everyone. And anyone who starts conflict or combat that doesn't better everyone, because there's that purposive intelligence with and for each other, all combat is only for that. Therefore, there's no more phony combat, no more phony intelligence, no more fashion, because you don't have fake displays. You only have authentic displays because we all live together, right? So without that, we can't be human. And with that, we will be something that looks to us like superhuman. This is what the great prophets of history were speaking of. The powers of our minds and hearts in a pod can raise the dead. They can change a nation in a week. They can change the way we all, the world over, work and think together. Because these little pods have something that we don't have to have, which is they have true moral and ethical identity. And thus within them, we can have true moral and ethical identity. Instead of stuff written down on paper like laws and things, no, we can have the real stuff. And when you have that, you become empowered to be and do anything. It's not about lies or religion, it's just about being together as human beings and animals on a planet as astonishing as ours. In the moment where we still exist with some hope of trying this, because our ecosystems haven't been wiped out yet, and we haven't been completely converted into slaves. So one tiny suggestion. Your friends aren't their ideas, okay? And we can learn together to use our disagreements as powers to make us more intelligent every time we act. When we complain without solutions, when we blame people or problems and frighten our neighbors without binding us closer together, we're worsening those problems, whether they're ecological, economic, ideological, political, emotional, whether they're based on gender, rights, what people have done or haven't done, we think. All of these problems can be solved in ways that are so shockingly beautiful and powerful that they will restore our humanity, our democracy, and our liberation, our power to liberate each other and live as human beings in the world. Or we can keep complaining, pretending we're victims, that we're separate, that my idea and your idea are at war, right? That we're monsters of conflict, and we're going to arm up with tough, scary language. We're going to frighten each other to get attention. You know, the activist media has this much solution for the American people, for the people of the world in general. They make, flighty, superficial arguments that everyone can agree with or not agree with. That's useless. We need intelligent, connected dialogue with and for each other from now on. If we reach for that and establish that as a standard, nothing will hold us back. We will reestablish pod intelligence instead of the phony kind that we're playing with. And we'll be able to take the ball from the people like Snowden and Assange and the other leaders who are trying to show us another direction, and it's not a direction of ideologies. It's a direction of discovery in unity. It's 2013, not 1932. Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining me. You can find me on the web at organelle.org or wondercloud.wordpress.com. That's Wondercloud. All blessings to you and those you adore. Bye for now. See you on the net.